besties, welcome back to my channel. This is Amanquahpam. Today we are going to sew this dress, and you need to subscribe and kindly leave a comment. Let's get into it. Alright, we actually folded the satin fabric. It's 3 yards. We folded into 2 to cut the front and back. We are using it as a pattern. We are going to measure her neckline, and her neckline is 3.5, and then across back is 14. So divided by 2 is 7. So we add an inch, like half an inch to it. We measure from 7.5 to her armhole, which is 9.5, and then we curve. And then we measure up to her waistline, which is the underbust. Normally, mostly when I'm actually drafting a dress or cutting a dress, I don't really cut from the waistline because people have bulgy, especially she is a mom, so her tummy hasn't gone out yet. So we need to start from her underbust. So we come a little bit closer to her waist, so we just add 2 inches so that when you draw the curves on the dress, the tummy will actually vanish. You know what I mean? So we now measure her waistline. We divide the waistline into 2 depending on the person you are measuring, like you are sewing for. This is for a client. So if you are sewing for yourself, then you know your waist measurement. You divide into 2. You can even do it the way I'm doing it to get it simple. So when you fold it into 2, then you measure your waistline, then you take it. Use the same measurement, the same method actually for your hip measurement. So you measure from the shoulder to your hip. Normally it's 23. That's where your hip length is, like from your shoulder to your hip. That's 23 for everybody, unless the person is short or a little bit taller. Then you can subtract 2 inches from a shorter person and you add 2 inches for a taller person. So once you are done, you curve it. You curve it with your chalk, your tailor's chalk. So we measure the shoulder up to her above knee. In her case, it's 32. So we measure up to her above knee. So we'll be able to curve it. We want the mermaid shape. So we just curve it and get it, and then we cut. So hey besties, now we are using the pattern, the one we actually cut with the satin, royal satin, to cut our lace. In this case, I want a nice design, so I am cutting halfway of it, and I'll leave about 10 inches so that I join them. Now we are cutting our flare. So if your length is 7 inches, that's what you want. You measure 7 inches all round. Then once you are done, you measure 3 inches down. That's how I want it. That's the width of the measurement I want for her flare, both on the shoulder and on the waist. Here I have to divide into 2 because the length is too long for her shoulder. I don't want it to exceed more, so I divide into 2. I divide 7 inches, divide by 2, and then I cut in between it. Yeah. Hey besties, now we are joining the neckline. So you use the wrong side of the satin to face the right side of the lace, and then you turn and top stitch it like I have done. You do that with both the front and the back. You top stitch both. So now we are measuring, we are looking for that. We have to get at that. So you actually measure her shoulder to her apex, which is 9.5. So you take with your tailor's chalk, then you measure from the folded edge 4 inches. She's not big, she's on the medium size. Then you measure from her shoulder to her waist, which is 16 for everyone, unless the person is shorter or taller. Then you measure 4 inches to join where the 16 got, and then you measure like half an inch close to the 16 inch. Then you come to the 23 inch and you measure 4 inch over there. Then you pin it to actually take, like you pin it to draw it at the back, like to indicate it all at the back. How do I say it? Yes. So that, yeah, you use the tailor's chalk to trace it. Besties, the reason why I'm pinning the edges of the dress, the lining and the laces, I don't want whereby when I'm trying to get the dart, it will shift or be crumbled. You know what I mean? So I rather pin it to join it as one unit. Then I'll be able to grab the dart and then pin, take it to my machine and sew and get a smooth finish or a neat finish. We are actually fixing our zip, and I actually bought an exposed zip. That's how I want it. So I will just stitch it in. So when you close the zip, you only see the teeth, but you will not see the stitches. You get what I mean? The way you actually fix in invisible zip, that's exactly you're going to fix in this exposed zip. In the end, you see. So as you see, it's already done. and you can see that you see the teeth, but you won't see any what do you say it, stitches. Yeah, so guys, we've gotten to the crucial part. We are now joining the whole garment together, front and back. Now we've gotten that to that part, so we had to pin our garments, the front and back. So the right side facing right side, and then you actually stitch on the shoulder. When you stitch on the shoulder, you can knit it and then re-stitch, like top stitch it, so that it look, voila, perfect. Shebi, you know my method now. So her bust is like 36 divided by 2. I had to fold the measurement into 2 to get my, like, fold into 2, the 36. Then I measured the amount that I got, and the allowance left, I shared it to the right and the left side. So if it's 2 inches left or 4 inches left, you divide into 2, which is 2 inches on the right and 2 inches on the left. Then you pin it. You do the same thing with the waist. You know what I mean? You measure the waist, you divide it into 2, and then the allowance left, you share it the same way you shared with the bust. You repeat it with the hip. So besties, we need to cut our armhole. So we are going to measure 2 inches on the length, which is on the width, and then the length we measure 5 inches. We curve it and we cut so that we can insert our sleeve. You just have to trim it nice. This is my method. I hope you're enjoying it so far. This one is called inside. How do you say inside? So you measure where you've cut the armhole. I mean the slope armhole. You get where I'm coming from. You measure from the tip to your shoulder. Her across back is 14. So you just have to add like half an inch to it, and then you measure down the armhole, which is 9.5, and then you you trim it nicely. Baby girl, we need more flare because I need some for the side and also for her shoulder because you need a lot. So I measured the same method I used earlier with the satin fabric. That's the same thing I'm using for the lace so that we get a combination of the two. Once you're done cutting, join the right side to right side together and then actually sew. You see, I cut it on fold, so there's no way there's allowance left on both sides, like the side. So you just go and take it to your machine, sew at the edge of it like that, and then you turn and you're done. That's it. You do that with all of them, each one of them. Thank you. So let's do something right now. We actually joined the satin with the lace. We joined it together. See how it is? We join them. So we are going to turn it. We turn it and then we actually attach it to the waist side. But we're going to open it up where the seam is. That's where we are going to attach it. So we sew in between the seam where the raw edges is. That's where we sew. So once we sew it, we'll turn it over. So you won't see any stitches over there when you turn it over. Ladies and gentlemen, we are done adding the flare to the side, the sideways, under the bust actually. It shouldn't be on the waist, but under bust. So now we are attaching the flare to the shoulder. You turn it and stitch. Go half an inch to the top, turn it again and stitch on it till you get to the end of where you want it to be. And so with the lace, you want to do something. We are aiming for something like a rose flower. So you just turn it and use thread and hand needle, and do the flower yourself. Hey besties, now we are done with our dress. Let's see how it looks on our client. Thank you for watching.